I'm sitting at grandmother's 80th birthday dinner, surrounded by family at one of those upscale restaurants with soft lighting and cloth napkins that feel heavier than they should. The kind of place where the servers refill your water before you've taken 3 sips. Everything is warm, golden, multi-generational. My grandmother is radiant in her jade green dress, laughing at something my uncle said. For a moment, I let myself relax into it. This is family. This is supposed to be safe. Then my phone buzzes on the white tablecloth, and everything shifts. My cousin Jessica leans across the table, her freshly manicured hand pointing at my phone like she's discovered something fascinating and vaguely grotesque. Her voice carries over the ambient conversation, loud enough that heads turn. "Oh my God, Maya, are you still using that dinosaur? I literally donated a phone newer than that to Goodwill." My phone is an iPhone XR, refurbished. The case has a crack along the bottom corner that I've never bothered to replace because the phone works perfectly fine. I bought it 3 years ago for $200, and it does everything I need it to do. But the way Jessica says it, you'd think I was carrying around a rotary telephone. The table laughs, not everyone, but enough. My cousin Brandon grins and shakes his head like I'm a lovable but hopeless charity case. He's wearing a watch that costs more than some people's monthly rent, and he makes sure the face catches the light when he reaches for his wine glass. Aunt Linda, Jessica's mother, arranges her face into an expression of concern that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She reaches over and pats my hand, and I feel every eye at the table watching. "Honey, if you need help, we can get you on a payment plan or something. You don't have to be embarrassed." I'm not embarrassed, or I wasn't until she said that. I smile tightly and tell her I'm fine, really. My voice comes out steady even though my chest feels hot. I've learned over the years how to keep my face neutral, how to let comments like this slide off without making a scene. I don't explain that I'm fine because there's no point. They've already decided what they see. I glance down at my phone. The screen is dark, but I can see my own reflection in it, distorted and small. I pick it up, feeling the familiar weight of it in my palm, and I let myself smile. Just a little, just enough that I know something they don't. Dinner continues. Grandmother opens gifts. We sing happy birthday off-key. Jessica takes 40 photos and immediately starts editing them with filters, her new iPhone 15 Pro Max gleaming in her hand like a prop. I stay quiet, contribute when spoken to, and count down the minutes until I can leave. When I finally get to my car, a 10-year-old sedan that runs perfectly and has been paid off for years, I sit in the silence for a long moment before starting the engine. My phone buzzes in my purse. I already know what it is. By the time I get home to my modest one-bedroom apartment, Jessica's Instagram story is already up. I see it because 3 different people have sent it to me with messages ranging from "OMG, are you okay?" to "She's such a bitch, I'm sorry." The photo is blurry but unmistakable. My phone on the white tablecloth, the crack in the case visible even in the low resolution. The caption reads, "When your cousin is still living in 2018, followed by a skull emoji and laughing face. #priorities, #techfail. I stare at it for longer than I should. The little hearts and laughing reactions are piling up. I recognize some of the names. Extended family. People from high school. Jessica's followers who don't even know me but are happy to laugh along. I screenshot it. I don't know why yet, but I do. I save it to a folder on my laptop that I've been keeping for a while now. I named it Receipts about 6 months ago after a particularly brutal family group chat where Brandon made fun of my car. The folder has gotten bigger since then. My phone buzzes again. The family group chat. I consider not opening it, but I do anyway because some part of me still hasn't learned. Brandon has sent a link to a website selling refurbished phones with a message that tags me directly. "Saw this and thought of you," followed by a laughing emoji. Jessica has hearted the message. Aunt Linda has too, and then she sent her own message right below it. "Maybe we can all pitch in and get Meyer an upgrade for Christmas. Family takes care of family." I read it twice. The condescension is so thick I can practically taste it. They think they're being kind. They think this is love. I don't respond. Instead, I open a different app on my dinosaur phone, my investment portfolio tracker. The screen loads, and I look at the numbers I see every day but never talk about. 2.1 million in liquid assets, diversified across index funds, bonds, and a handful of individual stocks. Another 2.3 million in Horizon Tech equity, post-IPO, vesting in 30 days. The number doesn't thrill me the way it used to. Now it just feels like confirmation. Confirmation that I know something about the world that Jessica and Brandon and Aunt Linda have never understood. I close the app and open my email. There's a new message sitting at the top of my inbox, and when I see the sender, something in my chest loosens. You're invited. Horizon Tech Investor Appreciation Gala and Product Launch. I read the email twice. Cocktail reception at 6. Keynote and investor recognition at 7:30. Black tie optional. +1 welcome. I sit back against my couch, the same couch I bought on sale 4 years ago, and I let myself imagine it. The gala. The recognition. The moment when my name appears on a screen in front of everyone who believed in David when he had nothing but an idea and a garage. I text my best friend Priya. You free next Saturday? I need a +1 for something. She responds in under a minute. Always, what's the occasion? I type out 3 different responses and delete them all. Finally, I settle on, you'll see. I know I should feel triumphant right now, but mostly I just feel tired. Tired of being underestimated. Tired of being the punchline. Tired of watching my family celebrate superficial nonsense while everything I've actually built goes unnoticed because I don't perform it for an audience. But I'm also something else. I'm decided. I think about the version of myself that has spent 32 years trying to be small enough, quiet enough, inoffensive enough to earn this family's respect. I think about every time I've let a comment slide, every time I've smiled through a joke at my expense, every time I've told myself it doesn't matter what they think. And then I think about walking into that gala. I think about the look on Jessica's face when she finds out. I think about Aunt Linda's patronizing concern curdling into shock. I don't respond to the group chat. I save Brandon's message to my receipts folder, right next to Jessica's Instagram story. Then I silence my phone and go to bed. I need to go back further if you're going to understand why this hurts the way it does. I grew up in a family that was comfortable but never wealthy. My dad taught high school history. My mom was a nurse at the county hospital, working night shifts and double overtime during flu season. We had everything we needed and some of what we wanted, but there was never excess. We lived in a 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood, took road trips instead of flying, and I wore a lot of hand-me-downs from cousins who'd outgrown them. Jessica's side of the family was different. Her father, my Uncle Richard, is a dermatologist. Not a surgeon like Aunt Linda always implied when she talked about him, but successful enough that they lived in a bigger house, drove newer cars, and had the kind of financial cushion that made everything look easy. Family gatherings when I was young meant watching Jessica open presents I knew cost more than my parents spent on me in 6 months. It meant sitting at the kids' table in clothes that used to be hers, listening to Aunt Linda sigh about how expensive Jessica's piano lessons were, how hard it was to keep up with all her activities, how fortunate they were to be able to afford enrichment. The word enrichment showed up a lot. Piano lessons were enrichment. Summer camp was enrichment. The private SAT tutor was an investment in enrichment. And every time Aunt Linda said it, there was this little glance in my direction. This tiny, pitying acknowledgement that not everyone could afford to enrich their children. My parents never said anything. They'd smile and nod and compliment Jessica's recital performance, and later, in the car on the way home, my dad would remind me that people show love in different ways. That things don't matter as much as principles. That the real investment they were making in me was teaching me how to think. I didn't always appreciate those lessons. When you're 12 years old and your cousin shows up to Thanksgiving in a designer dress while you're wearing a sweater from Target, principles feel pretty abstract. But my parents were consistent. They taught me to spend less than I earned, to save the difference, to avoid debt like poison, to ask questions about how money actually works instead of just wishing I had more of it. By the time I was 16, I was reading personal finance books from the library and tracking my babysitting income in a spreadsheet. By the time I graduated high school, I had $4,000 saved. Jessica had a car. I worked 2 jobs in college. I graduated debt-free with a degree in finance and a GPA high enough to get me a scholarship for my MBA. I was 26 when I finished my master's degree. Jessica was 23, working as a social media coordinator for a local marketing firm and already building her Instagram following. The family talked about her like she was a mogul. I got my first real job as a financial analyst at a mid-sized firm. The pay was good. I kept living like a student. I drove the used car I'd bought with cash. I rented a small apartment. I put 15% of every paycheck into retirement accounts and another 10% into a brokerage account for longer-term investing. And I started going to meetups, networking events, panels on entrepreneurship and venture capital. I wanted to understand how wealth was actually built, not just earned. That's where I met David Park. It was 2016, late summer. A young founders meetup in a co-working space downtown that smelled like cold brew coffee and ambition. There were maybe 30 people there, mostly men in their 20s pitching ideas to anyone who would listen. David was 24, soft-spoken, brilliant. He had this idea for cloud infrastructure that would make data storage faster and cheaper for mid-sized companies who couldn't afford enterprise solutions. He stood up during the open pitch session and walked everyone through his prototype. I watched the faces around the room. People were polite, but I could tell they weren't biting. Too technical, not sexy enough, no clear path to billions. But I saw something they didn't. I saw a total addressable market that was huge and underserved. I saw low customer acquisition costs because he was targeting a specific pain point businesses already knew they had. I saw a defensible moat because the technology was legitimately difficult to replicate. After his pitch, I walked up and introduced myself. We talked for an hour. I asked him about his unit economics, his churn assumptions, his go-to-market strategy. He had good answers, smart answers. He just didn't have money. 2 weeks later, I wrote him a check for $15,000 from my savings. It was nearly a third of my liquid net worth at the time. Jessica spent more than that on a trip to Europe that same year and posted about it for a month. I didn't tell my family. There was no point. They wouldn't have understood. Aunt Linda would have called it reckless. Jessica would have laughed and said I got scammed. Brandon would have told me I should have put it in real estate. But I knew what I was doing. I wasn't gambling. I was investing in fundamentals, in a founder who understood his market and had the discipline to execute. I also helped David build his financial models. I introduced him to 2 other people from my network who ended up investing small amounts. I didn't ask for anything in return except updates and the standard equity stake. For years, I watched Horizon Tech grow, slowly at first, then faster. Series A, Series B partnerships with mid-tier companies that turned into partnerships with Fortune 500 clients. I watched my $15,000 turn into something much bigger on paper, knowing that paper returns don't mean anything until there's an exit. And the whole time, my family kept talking about Jessica's brand partnerships and Brandon's real estate commissions and how well everyone was doing. I stopped trying to explain what I did for work. When people asked, I just said I was in finance. They'd nod and change the subject. Numbers are boring. Spreadsheets aren't Instagram-worthy. Compound interest doesn't make for good dinner conversation. Jessica's life, on the other hand, was extremely Instagram-worthy. She quit her marketing job and went full-time as an influencer when she hit 30,000 followers. She posted about fitness and lifestyle and affordable luxury. She got PR packages and went to brand events and talked about her 6-figure income in vague, aspirational terms. The family celebrated her like she'd won a Nobel Prize. I was happy for her, genuinely. It just stung a little that no one ever asked what I was doing. No one ever celebrated the fact that I'd made senior analyst, or that I'd been invited to speak on a panel about women in finance, or that I'd started a financial literacy blog that was quietly building an audience. No one asked, so I stopped telling. And then, 3 months ago, Horizon Tech went public. I woke up the morning of the IPO and checked my brokerage account. My $15,000 investment was now worth $2.3 million on paper. It wouldn't vest for 90 days, but it was real, legal, mine. I sat with that information for a long time. I thought about telling my parents. I thought about telling Priya. I thought about posting something vague and celebratory, the way Jessica would have. But I didn't. I just went to work. I contributed to my retirement account. I kept driving my old car and using my refurbished phone. Because the money wasn't the point. It never had been. The point was knowing that I'd seen something other people missed. That I'd made a good decision based on research and principles, not hype. That I'd built something real, even if no one was watching. And now, sitting in my apartment with Jessica's mocking Instagram story still glowing on my screen and an invitation to the Horizon Tech Gala in my inbox, I'm finally ready to let someone watch. Not because I need their approval, but because I'm done shrinking myself to make space for their assumptions. The family group chat explodes 3 days after grandmother's birthday dinner. Brandon sends a message at 9 in the morning with the subject line, "Grandma's gift," followed by 3 heart emojis. Okay, family. Linda and I were thinking we should all go in together on something really special for Grandma. We found this amazing 2-week luxury cruise, Mediterranean, all-inclusive. It's something she's always talked about wanting to do. If we split it, it comes out to $1,200 per person. Who's in? The responses come fast. Jessica sends a string of enthusiasm. OMG, yes, she would love that, I'm in. Followed by a selfie of her holding her checkbook like it's a prop in a photo shoot, caption, "Nothing but the best for our queen." Aunt Linda hearts the message. My Uncle Richard responds with a thumbs up. Other cousins chime in with variations of yes, absolutely, count me in. I'm reading this on my lunch break, eating a salad I packed from home at my desk. I do the math quickly. $1,200 is nothing to me, less than nothing. It's a rounding error. I type out a response. I'm in, happy to contribute the full amount. I watch the 3 dots appear and disappear as people type and delete. Finally, Aunt Linda's message comes through. Oh, sweetie, we know money is tight for you. Why don't you just do $600? We don't want you to strain yourself. Everyone will understand. I read it 3 times. The presumption sits in my chest like a stone. They've decided what I can afford without asking. They've decided I need accommodation, need special treatment, need to be protected from the embarrassment of not keeping up. I type quickly. I can do $1,200, it's not a problem. Aunt Linda's response is almost immediate. Are you sure? There's no shame in contributing what you can. We're just happy to have you involved. Jessica's message pops up before I can respond. Maybe Maya can get Grandma a vintage phone to match hers, followed by 3 laughing emojis. 4 people react with laughing emojis. 4 members of my family think this is funny enough to validate publicly. I don't respond with words. I open my banking app, navigate to transfers, and send $2,400 to Aunt Linda's Venmo with the note, "From Maya, with love, for Grandma's cruise." I screenshot the confirmation and post it to the group chat without comment. The chat goes quiet. I can imagine them all staring at their phones, confused, recalculating. 30 seconds pass, then a minute. Finally, Aunt Linda responds. Oh my goodness, Maya, you didn't have to do that. That's so generous. You really didn't have to do that. There's a pause, and then the follow-up I knew was coming. Sweetheart, you didn't put this on a credit card, did you? I don't want you going into debt to prove a point. I stare at the message. The assumption is breathtaking. The only way I could possibly have this money is by borrowing it. The only reason I would send it is to prove something, not because I simply have it and want to give it. I don't respond. I close the app and go back to my salad. My phone buzzes again, but it's not the group chat. It's a text from a number I have saved under David's name. Hey, got your RSVP for the gala. So glad you can make it. I'm giving a keynote about the early days, and I really want to thank our seed investors properly. You changed my life, Maya. Seriously. Hope you're bringing someone special. It's going to be a great night. I read it twice, and something in my chest unclenches. I text back. Bringing my best friend, wouldn't miss it. He sends back a smiley face and a champagne emoji. Perfect. See you there. I finish my lunch in silence, and for the first time all week, I feel something like peace. That night, I sit in my apartment with my laptop open and a cup of tea going cold beside me. I've opened the receipts folder, and I'm scrolling through months of screenshots, saved messages, documented moments of casual cruelty that I've been collecting without fully knowing why. There's the group chat from 4 months ago where Brandon sent a photo of a Tesla and said, "Upgrading? Maya, you can have my old Audi if you want. I know your car is on its last legs." My car had 60,000 miles on it and ran perfectly. I'd had it inspected 2 weeks before. There's the Instagram story from Jessica's birthday party last year where she posted a group photo with the caption, "Surrounded by successful, ambitious women," and I wasn't in it, even though I'd been standing right there. When I asked her about it later, she said, "Oh, it just didn't fit the aesthetic, you know." There's the email from Aunt Linda about a financial wellness workshop. She thought I should attend, sent with the message, "No judgment, honey. We all struggle sometimes." There's the Christmas card from 2 years ago where Jessica included printed photos of herself in designer outfits with a note that said, "Thought you might want some style inspiration for the new year." I keep scrolling. The evidence piles up. Years of it. A pattern so consistent I don't know how I've tolerated it this long. And then I realize something that makes my throat tight. This isn't about the phone. It was never about the phone. The phone is just the most recent symbol of a dynamic that's been in place since I was a child. I am the less than, the one who needs help, the one who's struggling, scraping by, making do. I'm the person they feel good about themselves for pitying. They've never asked about my job beyond the vague label of finance. They've never asked where I live or what I do on weekends or what I'm working toward. They've constructed an entire narrative about my life based on the car I drive and the phone I carry, and they've never once wondered if the narrative might be wrong. I think about responding to them. I think about sending a message to the group chat right now, laying out the truth, telling them about Horizon, about my portfolio, about the fact that I could buy Jessica's leased BMW in cash and not notice the dent in my checking account. I start typing the message twice, delete it twice. Because I realize that if I tell them, it becomes about me defending myself. It becomes about me seeking their approval, trying to prove I'm good enough. It makes me look insecure, like I need them to see me differently. And I don't. I don't need that anymore. What I need is for this to be over. Not the relationship necessarily, but this dynamic. This script where I'm the supporting character in their story, the cautionary tale, the one they get to feel superior to. I need them to see the truth, but I need it to come from somewhere else. Somewhere they can't dismiss or minimize. Somewhere public and undeniable. The gala. I opened my email and read David's invitation again. Investor appreciation and recognition. A keynote about the early days. He wants to thank seed investors properly. That means my name, possibly my photo, definitely my story. If I let this happen, it will be public. David's company just went public. There will be press there. There will be other investors, venture capitalists, people from the tech community. If Priya comes with me and posts about it, which she absolutely will because she's proud of me in a way my family has never been, it will be on social media. The family will see it, not because I tell them, because it will be unavoidable. I close my laptop and pick up my phone. I text Priya. "That thing I invited you to next Saturday, I need to tell you what it is." She calls me immediately. I answer and hear her voice, warm and familiar. "Okay, you're being cryptic and I'm dying. What is this event?" I take a breath. Remember David Park, the guy I backed in 2016 with the cloud infrastructure startup. The one you gave 15 grand to. Yeah, of course. His company went public 3 months ago. My stake is worth 2.3 million. Silence, then quietly, "Holy shit, Maya." There's a gala next Saturday, investor appreciation. He's going to recognize early backers publicly. I'll be on stage. Another pause, and your family has no idea. No. The same family, that's been mocking you for your phone. Yes. I hear her laugh, sharp and delighted. Oh, this is going to be good. What do you need from me? Just be there, and maybe post about it. I know that sounds petty, but I need this to be public. I need them to see it from someone else, not from me explaining myself. Baby, this isn't petty. This is justice. I will document every second. I will tag you in everything. I'm getting my hair done for this. I laugh for the first time in days. I'm hearing a stylist. I want to show up as myself, not trying to prove anything, just fully myself. Good, Priya says firmly. You've been hiding for too long. Let them see you. After we hang up, I book the stylist. I RSVP formally to the gala, +1 confirmed. I add the date to my calendar and block out the whole evening. And then I do something else. I schedule an appointment with a therapist who specializes in family dynamics for the week after the gala, because I know that exposure is only the first step. The real work will be setting boundaries and holding them. I'm going to need support for that. I open a new document and start drafting an email I might send to the family after the gala. I don't know yet if I'll use it, but I want it ready. I want to have thought through what I need to say about respect and boundaries and the end of this pattern. I save it as a draft and close my laptop. I sleep better than I have in weeks. The next day, I start digging. I tell myself it's not about building ammunition. It's about understanding the ecosystem. If I'm going to reset the terms of this relationship, I need to see clearly what I'm dealing with. I need to understand not just how they've treated me, but why. What are they protecting? What are they hiding? I start with the family dynamic itself. I pull out old photos, reread old emails, scroll back through years of group chat history. I'm looking for the pattern underneath the pattern. What I find is striking. Every time I've had a real achievement, a scholarship, a promotion, a speaking engagement, it's been met with minimal response. That's nice, honey. Good for you. Sometimes just a thumbs up emoji. When I got my MBA, Aunt Linda's response was, well, more school means more debt, but I'm sure it'll pay off eventually. I'd gotten a full scholarship. I told her that. She said, oh, good, and changed the subject. When I made senior analyst, Jessica's response in the group chat was, cool. Anyway, guys, I just hit 40,000 followers. But when Jessica got a brand partnership with a teeth whitening company, the family group chat exploded with congratulations. Aunt Linda posted about it on Facebook. My grandmother called her personally. When Brandon closed his first 6-figure sale, which he announced in the group chat with 3 fire emojis, my parents took him out to dinner. I'd been contributing more to my retirement account than Brandon's commission that year. No one knew. No one asked. The pattern is clear. Visible success is celebrated. Quiet success is invisible. I open Instagram and look at Jessica's profile with new eyes. 47,000 followers. It looks impressive. But I remember reading something about fake followers, about how influencers sometimes inflate their numbers to get better brand deals. I run her account through a follower analysis tool I find online. The results load slowly, and when they populate, I screenshot them immediately. Approximately 15,000 fake or inactive accounts. Engagement rate of 1.3%, well below industry standard for her follower count. Her viral posts get maybe 500 likes, and the comments are mostly bots or giveaway entries. I check her partnerships. She posts about brands constantly, but when I cross-reference with the FTC influencer disclosure database that tracks sponsored content earnings, the picture shifts. Last year, she reported $8,000 in sponsored income. $8,000. Not nothing, but nowhere near the 6-figure income she implies when she talks about her brand empire. I feel a twinge of something, not quite satisfaction, more like sadness. She's performing success as desperately as she thinks I'm performing poverty. Next, I look up Brandon's real estate claims. He talks constantly about his million-dollar listings and his success in luxury real estate. I pull up the public property records database and search his name. In the past year, Brandon has been the listing or selling agent on 3 properties over $1 million. 3. All of them co-listed with a senior agent, meaning he split the commission. The bulk of his transactions are rentals and properties under $400,000. He's doing fine. Solidly middle-class income for a real estate agent in this market, but he's not the luxury specialist he presents himself as. I check Aunt Linda's claims next, the ones she's been making for years. Richard is a surgeon, so you know how demanding his schedule is. I've heard variations of this my entire life. The surgeon husband, the successful doctor. I look up Uncle Richard's practice. He's a dermatologist, a good one based on reviews, but he works at a strip mall location that does Botox and acne treatments, not a hospital. He's not a surgeon. Maybe Aunt Linda thinks dermatology sounds less impressive. Maybe she's been saying it so long she believes it. None of this is scandalous. No one is committing fraud or living a complete lie, but everything is inflated, exaggerated, performed. And then I pull up the Horizon Tech S1 filing, the public document filed before the IPO. It's hundreds of pages of financial data, risk factors, and company history. I search for my name. There it is, page 47, a list of seed investors and their equity stakes. Maya Chen, 0.032% of outstanding shares. Initial investment $15,000, current valuation $2.3 million. It's public record. It's been public for 3 months. Anyone could have found this if they'd looked, if they'd been curious about my life, if they'd ever asked what I was doing. But they didn't look, because they'd already decided what my story was. I sit back and stare at my screen. This should make me angry, but instead I just feel incredibly tired and incredibly clear. They don't know me. They've never known me. They know a version of me that they constructed based on surface details and their own need to feel superior. And I've let them. For 32 years, I've let them tell me who I am because some part of me wanted to believe that if I just stayed quiet and patient and humble enough, they'd eventually see me. But they won't, not on their own, because seeing me would require them to question the narrative they've built, and people don't do that willingly. I close my laptop and look around my apartment. It's small, but it's mine. The furniture is simple, but well made. The art on the walls is original, purchased directly from a local artist I wanted to support. The bookshelf is full of first editions of investment books I've collected over the years, not because they're valuable, but because I love them. This is my life, built intentionally. Every choice made with purpose, not flashy but deeply, genuinely mine. And I'm done apologizing for it. I'm done making myself smaller. I'm done letting people who have never asked about my life make assumptions about it. I open my email and send a quick note to David. Looking forward to the gala. Thank you for including me in the recognition. It means a lot. He writes back within minutes. You earned it. See you Saturday. I have 4 days. I spend the next 4 days preparing for the gala with the kind of methodical focus I usually reserve for analyzing quarterly reports. This isn't about showing off. It's not even really about revenge. It's about showing up as my full self, unapologetically, and letting the truth speak for itself. First, I confirm the details with David's team. I email his assistant and ask, as casually as I can manage, what the recognition portion of the evening will look like. She responds within an hour with more information than I expected. There will be a keynote at 7:30 where David talks about Horizon's journey from garage startup to publicly traded company. As part of that, he's planning a video montage of early investors, their initial contributions, and their current equity values. My name will appear on screen. My photo from a 2016 startup pitch event holding one of those oversized novelty checks. The caption will include my investment amount and current valuation. I read the email 3 times. It's going to be completely public, undeniable. I write back thanking her for the information and confirming I'll be there. Next, I call Priya. I need you to document the evening, I tell her. Instagram stories, photos, whatever feels natural. I know this sounds calculating, but I need there to be a public record. Say no more, she says immediately. I've been waiting for this family to get what's coming to them for years. I will be your personal documentarian. Should I go live? Let's not go that far, I say, laughing a little. Just stories, tag me, Make it clear where we are and what's happening. Consider it done. What are you wearing? I've already thought about this. I scheduled an appointment with a stylist I found through a referral from a coworker. Not someone who's going to put me in something flashy or try to turn me into Jessica. Someone who understands elegant simplicity. I meet with her 2 days before the gala, and we go through options until we find it. A tailored navy jumpsuit, structured but not stiff. Minimal jewelry, just small gold hoops and a thin bracelet that used to be my grandmother's. Hair simple, blown out but not overdone. Makeup natural. The stylist nods approvingly. You look like someone who doesn't need to try. That's power. I look at myself in the mirror and barely recognize the person looking back. Not because I look so different, but because I look like myself without apology. No shrinking, no hiding. Perfect, I say. The night before the gala, I draft the email I might send to the family afterward. I've been thinking about it for days, and I need to get the words right. This isn't about gloating. It's about boundaries. I write, I need you to understand that the issue isn't the jokes about my phone. The issue is a pattern of disrespect, condescension, and public humiliation that has gone on for years. I have never asked for your approval or your money. I have built a life I'm proud of, and I will no longer tolerate being treated as lesser than because I don't perform my success the way you do. I stop and read it back. It feels right but incomplete. I keep going. Going forward, I'm setting boundaries. I will not attend family events where mockery is the norm. I will not engage with unsolicited financial advice or pity. I will not defend my choices to people who have never asked about them. I love you, but I will not shrink myself for your comfort anymore. If you'd like to rebuild a relationship based on mutual respect, I'm open. Otherwise, I'll be stepping back. I save it as a draft. I don't know yet if I'll send it. Maybe the gala will be enough. Maybe they'll reach out with genuine apologies and I won't need to. But I want it ready. I want to have already thought through what I need to say so I'm not scrambling in the moment. I also do something else that feels important. I schedule an appointment with a therapist who specializes in family systems and boundary setting. The first available slot is the Tuesday after the gala. I book it and put it in my calendar, because I know that exposure isn't the end of this. The real work will be holding my boundaries when the family pushes back, and they will push back. People don't like it when the dynamics shift and they're no longer on top. I'm going to need support for that. Professional support, not just Priya's righteous anger, as wonderful as that is. The day before the gala, I get my nails done. Not acrylics, not anything dramatic, just a simple manicure, neutral color. I pick up my outfit from the stylist. I charge my phone, the same refurbished iPhone XR that started all of this, and I buy a new case for it. Sleek, minimalist, black. Not because I'm ashamed of the cracked one, but because I want to. Because I'm choosing how I present myself, not reacting to their judgment. I lay everything out the night before. Outfit, shoes, jewelry, bag. I set 3 alarms. I go to bed early and sleep surprisingly well, considering. I'm ready. 3 days before the gala, the family decides to have a casual Sunday brunch. It's not a formal event, just a text in the group chat from Aunt Linda. Anyone free for brunch at Ameli's tomorrow? Would love to see everyone before the holidays get crazy. I consider saying I'm busy, but something stops me. Maybe I want one more data point, one more confirmation that I'm making the right choice. Or maybe some part of me is still hopping they'll surprise me. I show up at 11. The restaurant is one of those trendy places with exposed brick and a weekend wait list. Aunt Linda has reserved a table for 8. Jessica arrives 20 minutes late in a new outfit that she immediately mentions is from a PR package. Brandon is wearing expensive sunglasses that he leaves on inside. My parents are there, and my Uncle Richard, and my younger cousin Sophie, who's usually pretty quiet during family gatherings. The energy is light at first. We order food. People talk about work and holiday plans. I participate just enough to not seem withdrawn. I'm wearing jeans and a simple sweater, nothing special. My phone sits on the table next to my water glass. Then Jessica arrives back from the bathroom and immediately pulls out her phone. "Okay, family photo time," she announces. "Mom, you know I need content." Everyone rearranges themselves, smiling. Jessica stands and positions herself to get the angle she wants. I'm sitting on the end, and I notice her shifting the frame, adjusting. She takes several photos, checks them, takes several more. Then she sits down and immediately starts editing. "Perfect," she says, and I watch her post to Instagram in real time. The photo appears on her story within seconds. I glance at my phone and open Instagram. The photo is nice. Everyone looks happy, except I'm not in it. I'm cropped out completely, even though I was sitting right there. Jessica notices me looking. "Oh, sorry, babe," she says breezily, not looking up from her phone. "Your outfit just wasn't really the vibe for this one, you understand." 4 people heard her say it. No one says anything. I could call it out. I could ask what exactly about my sweater doesn't fit her aesthetic. I could point out that this is the 3rd or 4th time she's excluded me from photos and blamed it on composition or vibe or lighting. But I don't. I just smile slightly and say, "No problem." Because what's the point? In 3 days, none of this will matter. Brandon laughs at something on his phone and shows it to Jessica. They're looking at a meme together, heads bent close. Aunt Linda is talking to my mother about holiday planning. My father catches my eye across the table and gives me a small, understanding smile. He knows. He's always known. After we finish eating, Jessica corners me near the bathroom. The hallway is narrow, and she positions herself so I'd have to push past her to leave. "Hey," she says, and her voice has shifted into something that sounds like concern. "Are you okay? You've been really quiet lately, like quieter than usual." "I'm fine," I say. "Are you sure? Because if you need anything, you can tell me. I know we joke around, but we're family. If you need money or help with something, you can just ask." She reaches out and touches my arm, and I see something in her face that might be genuine worry, or might be curiosity. It's hard to tell. "I'm good," I say. "Really good, you'll see." Her expression shifts, confused. "See what?" I smile and step around her. "You'll see." I leave the bathroom hallway and head back to the table. Jessica follows a moment later, and I can see her texting someone as she walks. Probably Brandon. Sure enough, 10 minutes later my phone buzzes with a text in a side thread that includes just Jessica and Brandon. One I didn't know existed until they accidentally added me just now. "Brandon, Maya's acting weird. Think she's finally cracking." Jessica, she was being super cryptic in the bathroom. Said you'll see about something. Brandon, maybe she got a new job or a boyfriend. Jessica, God. I hope she's not about to do something embarrassing like announce she's engaged to someone she met online. Brandon, LOL probably, or maybe she's going to ask to borrow money and she's hyping herself up. I read the exchange twice. They're speculating about my life like I'm a character in a show they're watching, not a person, not someone they could just ask. I screenshot it and add it to my receipts folder. Then I mute the thread and put my phone away. The rest of brunch passes uneventfully. I hug my parents goodbye and promise to call them during the week. I wave to everyone else and head to my car. On the drive home, my phone won't stop buzzing. I glance at it at a red light. The family group chat is blowing up. Jessica has posted a photo from brunch with the caption, "Sunday fun day with my favorite people," and tagged everyone except me. Brandon has shared it. Aunt Linda has commented with heart emojis. Someone, I can't tell who, has started a conversation about Thanksgiving planning. Jessica suggests doing a potluck-style meal and volunteers to make her famous cranberry sauce that she got from a recipe website last year. My phone buzzes again. A text from Jessica directly. "Hey, about earlier, I didn't mean to leave you out of the photo. It just looked better with an even number of people. You get it, right?" I don't respond. Another buzz. Aunt Linda in the group chat, tagging me. "Maya, can you bring rolls to Thanksgiving? Something simple, you can just get the frozen ones from the store." Everyone else is assigned real dishes. Aunt Linda is doing the turkey. Jessica is doing sides. Brandon is bringing wine. I'm assigned frozen rolls because they assume I can't cook or can't afford to contribute something real. I close the app without responding. When I get home, I pull out my outfit for the gala one more time. I look at it hanging on the back of my closet door. Navy, elegant, simple. I look at my shoes, my jewelry, everything laid out and ready. 2 more days. The next 48 hours feel like the longest of my life. I go to work and sit through meetings where I can barely focus. I smile and nod and contribute when I need to, but my mind is somewhere else. I keep imagining the gala. The moment my name appears on screen, the look on David's face when he thanks me publicly, the moment Priya posts about it and the family sees. I don't feel triumphant yet. Mostly I feel nervous. There's a small voice in the back of my head asking if I'm being petty, if I should just tell them directly, if I'm stooping to their level by letting them find out this way. But then I remember Jessica's TikTok, the one that went viral, 180,000 views of her mocking my phone. I remember the comments. I remember Brandon's text about me cracking. I remember Aunt Linda sending me information about financial assistance programs. I remember a lifetime of being cropped out, talked over, dismissed, and underestimated. And I remember that I've tried the direct approach. I've tried explaining myself. I've tried setting small boundaries. It never worked because they were never listening. So I silence the doubt and focus on preparation. The day before the gala, Jessica posts a TikTok that makes my stomach drop. It's a video set to trending audio, the POV format that's everywhere right now. The text on screen reads, "POV, your cousin still uses a phone from the Obama administration," followed by laughing emojis. The video is just B-roll footage of an old phone on a table, not even my actual phone, just stock footage she found somewhere. But the implication is clear. The video goes viral in our extended family's social circle. Not millions of views, but enough. 180,000. Comments rolling in, most of them are laughing. A few say things like, "We all have that one relative and this is so relatable." There are some defensive comments too. "Maybe she's just financially responsible," one person writes. Jessica replies directly, "Nah, she's just broke lol." My coworkers see it. 3 different people send it to me with messages ranging from, "Is this about you?" to, "I'm so sorry, that's awful." Priya calls me, furious. "Let me comment, let me destroy her. I will end her whole account." "No," I say. I'm surprised by how calm my voice sounds. "Tomorrow, it all happens tomorrow." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." That night I do a final review of everything. My outfit is ready. Priya is confirmed as my +1 and has promised to document everything. David's assistant has sent me the final schedule: cocktails at 6, keynote at 7:30, investor recognition at 8. I'll be called to the stage. My name, my photo, my equity value, all displayed on a screen in front of 200 people, including tech journalists and local business press. I screenshot Jessica's TikTok one last time and save it. Then I open my journal and write one sentence. This isn't about making them feel small. It's about making myself free. I read it several times. I let it settle into my bones. Then I close the journal, set 3 alarms for the morning, and go to bed. I sleep deeply, dreamlessly, for the first time in weeks. When I wake up, the morning light is coming through my bedroom window, and I feel perfectly, crystallinely calm. Today is the day. I shower and take my time getting ready. I do my makeup carefully, the way the stylist showed me, natural but polished. I blow dry my hair and it falls in smooth waves. I step into the navy jumpsuit and it fits perfectly, tailored and elegant. I put on my grandmother's bracelet and the small gold earrings. I slip my refurbished iPhone into my bag, the new sleek case making it look intentional, chosen. I look at myself in the mirror and I see someone I recognize. Someone who's been here all along, just waiting for permission to be visible. Priya picks me up at 5:30. She takes one look at me and her eyes get shiny. "You look like money," she says. I laugh. I look like me. "Same thing," she says and hugs me hard. We drive downtown to the venue, a sleek event space all glass and steel and city views. Valets are taking cars. There's a red carpet, actual press with cameras. This is bigger than I expected. My phone is vibrating in my bag. I pull it out at a stoplight. 15 missed calls from family. 27 new messages in the group chat. I open it. Aunt Linda has sent a link to a financial assistance program with the message, "Maya, I really think you should look into this. There's no shame in asking for help." Jessica has posted another Instagram story, a screenshot of an article about budgeting tips with my name tagged. "Thinking of you, babe." Brandon has sent a meme about broke millennials directly to me. And then, at the bottom, a message I wasn't expecting. It's from my younger cousin Sophie, who rarely speaks up in family chats. Has anyone actually asked Maya if she needs help? Or are we just assuming? No one has responded to her. I close the app and silence my phone completely. Priya glances over. They're still going. They have no idea what's about to happen, I say. She grins. Good. We pull up to the venue. I hand my keys to the valet. Priya already has her phone out, camera ready. "Let's go make some memories," she says. We walk inside, and the next chapter of my life begins. The Horizon Tech Investor Appreciation Gala is everything I didn't know I needed it to be. The venue is stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline as the sun sets, casting everything in gold and amber light. The space is modern, all clean lines and polished surfaces, with subtle Horizon branding on sleek displays throughout. There's an open bar with a bartender doing that thing where he flips bottles, past hors d'oeuvres that actually look and taste expensive. And everywhere I look there are people in elegant suits and cocktail dresses holding wine glasses and talking animatedly about valuations and market disruption and the future of cloud infrastructure. I feel Priya squeeze my hand as we walk in. "You belong here," she whispers, and I realize with a start that I do. A server offers us champagne. I take a glass. Priya is already filming subtle Instagram stories of the venue, the crowd, the Horizon logo projected on the far wall. She pans to me, catches me mid-sip looking relaxed and at home, and I know she's posting it in real time. I know that right now the family might be seeing it, wondering where I am, not recognizing the significance yet. We mingle. I run into a few people I know from finance circles, and they introduce me to others. A venture capitalist I've only known through LinkedIn shakes my hand and says, "Maya Chen, right? I saw your name in the S1. Smart bet on Horizon. David speaks very highly of you." "He's brilliant," I say. It wasn't a hard decision once I saw the fundamentals. We talk shop for a few minutes about deal flow and due diligence and the importance of backing founders with integrity. He hands me his card. "We're always looking for co-investors with good instincts. Let's grab coffee." I take the card and slip it into my bag, and Priya catches my eye from across the conversation. She's grinning. At 7:15, the lights dim slightly, and a voice over the sound system asks everyone to find their seats. The room transitions from cocktail party to formal event. There are round tables set up facing a small stage with a podium and a massive screen behind it. Priya and I find our assigned seats, table 6, and I'm surprised to see we're seated with other early investors. People introduce themselves. A woman who put in $20,000 in the series, a man who helped David with legal incorporation in exchange for equity. We're all here for the same reason. We believed when it was risky. At 7:30 exactly, the lights go down further and David Park walks onto the stage. He looks different than he did in 2016. More polished, more confident, but still fundamentally himself. He's wearing a tailored suit, but his smile is genuine and a little nervous. The room applauds and he waits for it to die down before speaking. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he begins. 6 years ago, I was writing code in my parents' garage and pitching an idea that most people thought was too technical, too niche, too boring to scale. The room laughs softly. I heard a lot of no's, a lot of come back when you have traction, and this isn't venture scale, and who's going to care about cloud infrastructure for mid-sized businesses? And I almost gave up. I almost took a job at Google and shelved the whole thing. He pauses, and I see genuine emotion cross his face. But a few people said yes, not because the idea was proven, not because I had a track record, but because they saw something in the fundamentals that other people missed. They believed in the vision, and more than that, they helped me build it. They gave me advice, made introductions, sat with me through failed pitches and hard pivots. The people in this room, especially our earliest investors, didn't just give money, they gave faith. The screen behind him lights up with a photo. It's from a startup pitch competition in 2016, and I recognize it immediately. Young founders holding oversized novelty checks. I'm in the background of the shot, smiling, talking to someone off camera. I want to take a moment tonight to honor our seed investors, the people who wrote checks when we had nothing but a pitch deck and a prototype. The image changes. Now it's a clean graphic with names and numbers. The first one that appears makes the room murmur appreciatively. An angel investor who put in $50,000 and is now sitting on $4 million. David talks about each person briefly, what they contributed beyond capital, how they helped shape the company. Then my photo fills the screen. It's the one from the pitch competition, but cropped and cleaned up. I'm holding the novelty check, smiling genuinely, looking younger but recognizable. The text beside my face reads, Maya Chen, Seed Investor 2016. Initial investment, $15,000. Current valuation, $2.3 million. The room applauds, louder than for the previous investors, and I realize it's because the multiple is so high. I turned $15,000 into $2.3 million. That's 153x return. David is looking right at me. Maya, can you stand up? My heart is pounding, but I stand. The applause intensifies. People at my table are smiling at me. A photographer near the stage snaps photos. David continues, his voice warm. Maya didn't just write a check. She spent hours helping me build financial models. She introduced me to 2 other early investors who came in at the same round. She gave me feedback on pricing strategy and helped me think through unit economics when I was too in the weeds to see clearly. When everyone else was chasing the shiny consumer apps, Maya understood why boring infrastructure was going to win. She saw what I was building before I fully understood it myself. I sit down, my face hot, my chest tight with something that feels like vindication and grief all mixed together. This is what it feels like to be seen, to be valued for your actual contributions, not your performance of success. Priya's hand finds mine under the table and squeezes hard. I glance at her and she's filming, tears in her eyes, catching every second of this. The presentation continues. A few more investors are recognized. Then David transitions into talking about Horizon's growth, the IPO, the future roadmap. But I'm barely listening. I'm feeling the weight of 200 people in this room knowing my name, knowing what I did, respecting me for it. After the formal program ends, a journalist from the local business journal approaches our table. Maya Chen, I'm writing a piece about Horizon's early backers. Could I get a quote from you about what made you invest? I give him a quote about believing in fundamentals over hype, about the importance of supporting founders with integrity. He thanks me and takes my contact information for follow-up. A venture capitalist stops by to congratulate me and mentions a new fund he's raising, asks if I'd be interested in hearing more. I exchange cards with him too. David finds me during the networking portion of the evening and hugs me tightly. Thank you, he says quietly, for everything, not just the money, for believing. Thank you for building something worth believing in, I say. People want to talk to me. People want my opinion, my insights, my contact information. I'm not the family failure here. I'm not the cousin who can't afford a new phone. I'm an investor with good instincts, a person who saw potential and had the courage to back it. Priya posts throughout the night. Instagram stories showing the screen with my name and valuation. A photo of me talking with David. A candid shot of me laughing at our table, completely at ease. She tags me in everything. She geotags the venue. She uses Horizon's official hashtag. It's public, it's documented, it's undeniable. Around 9:30, my phone starts vibrating in my bag. I've had it silenced all evening, but I can feel it buzzing insistently. I pull it out and glance at the lock screen. 63 notifications. I open Instagram first. Priya's stories have been viewed by hundreds of people, including Jessica, including Brandon, including Aunt Linda. The family group chat has exploded. I scroll through quickly, watching the progression in real time. Jessica, 2 hours ago. Wait, is Meyer at some kind of event? Brandon, why is she at a tech thing? Then, an hour ago, after Priya posted the photo of the screen with my valuation. What the fuck? Jessica, this can't be real. Aunt Linda, someone call Maya right now. Brandon, I'm looking at the Horizon IPO filing. Her name is actually in it. This is real. Jessica, why didn't she tell us? 47 missed calls, dozens of individual texts. Jessica, Maya, why didn't you tell us? I would never have made those jokes if I knew. You know that, right? Brandon, wow, congrats, I guess. Would have been cool to know. Aunt Linda, we need to talk. This is very hurtful. You made us look foolish. I read through them all and something interesting happens. I don't feel angry. I don't feel triumphant. I mostly feel tired and sad and relieved all at once. They're not apologizing for how they treated me. They're upset that they looked bad. I check Jessica's TikTok. The video mocking my phone is still up, but the comments section has transformed. Someone has screen recorded Priya's Instagram story and posted it with the caption, "This aged like milk." The video has been shared and stitched dozens of times. People are tagging Jessica. Imagine mocking someone worth more than you'll ever see. The way she's probably devastated right now. Maybe ask people about their lives before you assume. Jessica has turned off comments, but the damage is done. I slip my phone back into my bag without responding to anyone. Priya notices, "You okay?" "Yeah," I say, and I mean it. "I'm really okay." We stay until the end of the event, until the crowd thins and the servers start clearing glasses. David walks us out and hugs me one more time at the valet stand. "Seriously," he says, "thank you for then and for now." "Congratulations on everything you've built," I tell him. "You earned all of this." Priya and I drive home in comfortable silence for a while. Then she says, "Your phone has been buzzing nonstop for 20 minutes. I know. Are you going to respond? Eventually, but not tonight. When I get home, it's almost midnight. I change out of my jumpsuit and into comfortable clothes. I make tea. I sit on my couch with my laptop and I open the draft email I wrote days ago. I read through it, adjusting a few phrases, adding specific examples from this week. The TikTok, the Instagram story, the assumption that I'd put grandma's cruise contribution on a credit card, the cropped photo at brunch. Then I add a new paragraph. Tonight, I was publicly recognized as an early investor in a company that just went public. Several of you have reached out, not to apologize for years of mockery and condescension, but to express hurt that I didn't tell you. I want to be clear. I don't owe you explanations about my financial life. I don't owe you updates about my career. I don't owe you performance of success in a way you find acceptable. What I do deserve is basic respect, and I haven't received that from you in a very long time. I finish the email with the boundaries I outlined before. No more events where mockery is tolerated. No more unsolicited advice. No more defending myself to people who have never asked about my life. An invitation to rebuild based on mutual respect, or space if that's not possible. I read it one final time, then I send it. To Aunt Linda, to Jessica, to Brandon, CC'd to my parents so they're in the loop. I close my laptop, and my phone buzzes immediately. I silence it completely and set it face down on the coffee table. Priya texts me from her apartment across town. "I'm proud of you." I write back, "Thank you for being there tonight, for everything." Always. I finish my tea in the quiet of my apartment. The city lights are visible through my window. Everything is still and peaceful. My phone lights up silently on the table. I can see it's Aunt Linda calling. I let it go to voicemail. Then Jessica, voicemail. A text from Jessica appears on my lock screen. "You're really going to throw away family over this?" I don't pick up the phone. I just look at it for a moment, then turn it face down again. I cry a little, but not from sadness, from relief. The weight I've been carrying for 32 years, the weight of trying to earn respect from people who were never going to give it, is finally gone. I'm free. 3 months later, my life looks different in ways both big and small. I'm sitting at my favorite coffee shop on a Saturday morning, the one with the good light and the barista who knows my order. My refurbished iPhone XR is on the table next to my laptop. I could upgrade now. I could afford the newest model without thinking twice. But I genuinely don't want to. This phone works. It does everything I need. And now when I look at it, I don't see a symbol of poverty or failure. I see a symbol of my values. Intentionality over performance. Substance over appearance. The family situation has settled into a new normal that's both better and harder than I expected. Jessica sent an apology 3 days after the gala. It arrived via text at 2 in the morning, clearly written after some soul-searching or possibly some wine. I'm sorry you felt hurt by my jokes. I didn't realize you were sensitive about money stuff. I was just playing around. I hope we can move past this. I read it several times, parsing the language. Sorry you felt hurt, not sorry I hurt you. Didn't realize you were sensitive, not didn't realize I was cruel. Hope we can move past this, not I understand why you need space. It wasn't a real apology. It was an attempt to restore the status quo without actually acknowledging the pattern or changing behavior. I responded simply. I appreciate you reaching out. I need you to understand that this isn't about sensitivity or one joke. It's about years of disrespect. When you're ready to talk about the pattern, not just the latest incident, I'm willing to have that conversation. She never responded. Brandon went completely silent. No apology, no explanation, just nothing. He stopped posting in the family group chat. When my parents mentioned seeing him at a family thing I didn't attend, they said he seemed uncomfortable and left early. Aunt Linda tried a different approach. She called my mother and suggested that maybe I was going through something and that the family should give me space until I was ready to be reasonable again. My mother, bless her, shut that down immediately. She told Aunt Linda that I was the most reasonable person in the family and that maybe it was time for some self-reflection on their end. My mother told me about this conversation over dinner at her house, just the two of us, and I cried into my pasta. You believe me, I said. You see it. Of course I see it, she said. I've always seen it. I just didn't know how to protect you from it without causing a family war. I'm sorry I didn't speak up more. We talked for hours that night. About how she and my father made different choices about money and life, about how hard it was to watch me be undervalued, about how proud they are of everything I've built. We always knew, my dad said when he joined us for dessert. We knew you were going to be fine, more than fine. We just had to trust that you'd figure out when to stop trying to prove yourself to people who weren't looking. That conversation healed something I didn't know was broken. Thanksgiving was complicated. Aunt Linda sent out the usual invitation to her house for the family gathering. I didn't respond. My parents asked what I wanted to do, and I told them I wasn't ready to sit at a table where nothing had changed and pretend everything was fine. Then don't, my mother said simply. Come to our house, we'll do our own thing. So I spent Thanksgiving with my parents and Priya and her family. We made too much food and played board games, and no one performed anything for anyone. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. I heard later from my younger cousin Sophie, the one who'd questioned the family in the group chat, that the gathering at Aunt Linda's was tense and awkward. Jessica apparently spent most of the day on her phone. Brandon left early. People kept asking where I was, and Aunt Linda kept saying I was busy with work. Sophie texted me afterward. I miss you. I hope you know not everyone thinks they were right. We met for coffee the next week, just the two of us, and I learned that she'd been watching the family dynamics for years and feeling similarly trapped. She's younger, still in college, still financially dependent on her parents in ways I'm not. But she's taking notes, learning what not to do. We've started getting coffee regularly, and I've been teaching her about investing and financial literacy. She's the relationship I'm choosing to invest in. Work has been interesting. Word got around about Horizon, and I've been approached about joining 2 different startup advisory boards. I accepted one, a women-led fintech company that's solving a real problem in the micro-lending space. I'm also co-investing in a new fund focused on underrepresented founders. The venture capitalist I met at the gala brought me in as a limited partner. My day job is the same, but my relationship to it has shifted. I'm not hiding anymore. When people ask what I do outside of work, I talk about my investments, my advisory work, my financial literacy blog that's grown to 10,000 subscribers. I'm visible in a way I never let myself be before. I'm also dating someone. His name is James, and I met him at a fintech networking event 2 months ago. He's a software engineer who lives modestly despite a very comfortable salary, and on our second date, he showed me his investment portfolio with the kind of pride most people reserve for showing off cars or watches. We talk about compound interest, and allocation strategy, and early retirement plans. It's the least performative relationship I've ever had. He's met Priya and my parents. He hasn't met the extended family, and I haven't decided yet if he will. The therapist I started seeing has been incredibly helpful. We've been working on understanding the difference between reconciliation and boundary holding, between forgiveness and trust, between wanting a relationship and needing one to be healthy. You can love people and still choose not to have them in your life, she told me in our 4th session. Love doesn't obligate you to accept mistreatment. That reframed everything. I've been journaling more, processing what happened and what it means. One entry from last month keeps coming back to me. I spent so much of my life trying to be small enough, quiet enough, unchallenging enough to deserve love from people who were never going to give it. I performed humility while they performed success, and neither of us was being real. The gala didn't change who I am. It just revealed who I've always been to people who weren't looking, and their response told me everything I needed to know. They're not mad that I have money. They're mad that I don't need them anymore. I read that entry sometimes when I'm tempted to reach out, to smooth things over, to make it easy for them to come back without doing the work. My life is quieter now in some ways. Fewer family obligations, fewer group chats, fewer performances, but it's richer in every way that matters. I have deeper friendships. I have work that challenges me. I have financial security and the freedom it creates. I have self-respect. I think about what I'd want to say to someone going through something similar. Someone who's being underestimated or mocked or dismissed by people who should know better. Your worth is not determined by other people's perception. The family saw my phone and assumed poverty. They saw my modest apartment and old car and decided I was struggling. They never asked about my portfolio, my investments, my plans. They never asked because they'd already written the story, and my actual life didn't fit the narrative. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices. I could have told them about Horizon years ago. I could have explained my investment strategy, my financial philosophy, my deliberate choice to live below my means. But I didn't owe them that information, especially when they'd made it clear they weren't curious about my actual life. Dignity is quieter than performance. Real wealth, real success, it doesn't need to be loud. Jessica performed her influencer career with constant posts and updates and announcements. I built actual wealth in silence. Both are valid approaches, but only one of them is true to who I am. I'm not interested in performing anymore. Boundaries are not cruelty. This is the one I struggle with most. I still have moments where I feel guilty for stepping back, for not making it easier for them, for letting the silence stretch. But boundaries are self-preservation. They're not punishment. I'm not withholding love to hurt them. I'm protecting my peace until they're ready to build something different. Document everything. I kept screenshots for months before I fully understood why. But when the time came, I had receipts. I had proof that I wasn't being oversensitive, that the pattern was real. Documentation isn't paranoid, it's clarity. Invest in people and principles, not appearances. My bet on David wasn't about ROI, though the return was substantial. It was about believing in someone solving a real problem with integrity and skill. The financial return was a bonus. The real win was the friendship, the proof that my instincts were sound, the validation that I know how to see potential. I'm recording this story, speaking it aloud into my phone's voice memo app, because someone suggested I turn my experience into content for my blog. Maybe I will. Maybe it'll help someone else who's sitting at a family dinner being mocked for their choices, wondering if they're crazy for feeling hurt. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not wrong to want respect. And you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep people warm who have never once asked if you're cold. I'm sitting in my apartment now, the same modest one-bedroom I've lived in for years. I could move. I could afford something much bigger, something flashy. But I like it here. It's mine. It's intentional, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Priya. Brunch tomorrow. There's a new place I want to try. I write back immediately. Yes, my treat. She sends back a string of heart emojis. I look around my space, at the simple furniture I chose carefully, at the original art on my walls, at the bookshelf full of dog-eared investment books and journals, at my refurbished phone charging on the counter, still working perfectly. This is my life, built deliberately, lived intentionally, valued appropriately. And I've never been more at peace. I want to know where you're listening from. I want to know if you've ever been the person in your family who was underestimated, who was mocked for not keeping up with the Joneses, who was told you were too sensitive when you called out disrespect. If that's you, I see you. I really do. You don't owe anyone a performance. You don't have to explain your choices to people who have never asked about your life. You don't have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You just have to know your own worth. And when you do, their opinions become background noise. Drop a comment and let me know your story. Let's remind each other that we're not alone in this, that there's a whole community of us out here choosing substance over appearance, building real lives instead of performing fake ones. And if this story resonated with you, if you felt seen or validated or just entertained for the last hour, hit that subscribe button. I think you'll like where we're going next. Because there are more stories like this. More women who have been underestimated and who have quietly built empires while everyone was looking the other way. More moments of vindication, of boundary setting, of choosing yourself. And I'm here for all of it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. Now go live your life like you know what you're worth. Because you do.